Hey guys, my name is Miguel, and in this video I'm going to talk about my experience from graduating college, not having an income or job, to actually, getting to that process of getting that side hustles, that full-time job, and definitely going to talk about my mistakes that I made. And I know a lot of people out there are graduating college or getting yourself out there in the market, and hopefully my experience can, give you some information about the market. Let's begin in the beginning. No. So let's begin in the beginning. So after college, I interned at this nonprofit in DC, and definitely had some great experiences. Met a lot of people, did networking, but eventually, after that, I drove to Atlanta, with no connections. Didn't know anyone in Atlanta, didn't have like a contact person, and that was in late 2016. So I arrived in Atlanta, not having a job, and I was like, I have some bills to pay, I have this apartment that I need to pay rent for, and I have these bills that are coming up. How am I gonna make it? So that's where I did some side hustles. And what I did was I managed the social media of a lot of law firms. And that allowed me to, generate some income so I could pay the bills. And again, I still didn't have this 9-to-5 job. I was living way under budget. So I made sure I didn't have, I didn't go over my budget. Because again, I was not really stable. But I did have that passion to keep going, moving forward. And that's when I created this tech blog. And the tech blog, if I remember correctly, it was called Tech Bite Media, and I'll probably put a picture of here of how it looked. But essentially, this tech blog, what I did with it, I interviewed a lot of the local startups. So I definitely got those one-on-one interviews. I interviewed them just to say, hey, I have this blog, I'm showcasing local startups, I want to write something cool, can we meet at Starbucks? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And that's how I got the face-to-face meetups. The next thing after that, I was like, okay, I have this tech blog, and eventually I ran into this one company, one startup, and I was initially going to interview them, but I found that they were looking for this part-time person, contract person, and I was like, hey, I'm really interested in this company, interested in the work, and that's where I became a quote-unquote intern at the startup. And definitely at the startup, I had a lot of experiences working with different people, and that's where I eventually got into the full-time job at that startup. So again, if you go back to my journey from after college to full-time, what I would definitely emphasize that really helped me was that I created this tech blog. So by creating this tech blog, it really created value. That value is something that a lot of the businesses that I talked to really paid attention to, because that value had influence. It generated a lot of interest in the startups, the tech blog. At the time, I think I wrote about like 10 startups, and of those 10 startups, a lot of the articles were shared. So I was like really pumped about it, and I really wish I kept going forward to it. I think that was one of my mistakes, that eventually I just got really comfortable. So I really got comfortable with the full-time job at the startup, and I really prioritized that versus the side hustles. And if I would go back in time, I would say to keep that as a balance, to not only prioritize the full-time job, but also prioritize the side hustles. And having that combined would have definitely helped me in the future. And again, although I didn't have a 9-to-5 job during this time, I made some really cool friends. I had fun staying up at night, writing these articles, and I did, film some videos. So that was something cool that I learned, especially learning new skills. I learned how to use iMovie, and for the first time, and it was like very hard. And I was like, when I first was using it, I was like, should I do this? Oh, no, let me go back and look at some YouTube videos, and boom, let's see if this works now. So that was my experience. And again, this is a very short video. I'll probably make a longer version of this, but just want to give you guys like a overview of how I did it. I was extremely lucky. This was a big luck for me because I sent out a lot of requests for these interviews, and some people, were interested, and that's where I was really lucky, and that's what really helped me. And even though I didn't have no connections in Atlanta, no one here to really like help me out, I really had to put myself forward. I really had to focus on me, get to that level where I was able to get that full-time job. And again, that was my experience. I'll probably make, again, like I said, I'll probably make a longer version of this, but just want to get this out there. And yeah, guys, definitely want to hear from you. What's your experience like? What are some of the challenges? And feel free to put them below in the comments. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.